All right, this is Matt Brown with Los Angeles Dodgers team photographer for how long? Don't say your name.
30 years.
30 years. Jon SooHoo. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is awesome.
Thanks for having me in my own office.
In your own office. This is actually a first. All the other ones I've done outside, screaming with microphones, players throwing gum. So
we'll have interruptions, I'm sure.
All right, that's fine. All right, short story. How did you become the Dodgers photographer?
Let's see. Back in the dark age. Oh no. Let's see. 19.
With your 4x5.
2. That's it. Yeah. I think when I was at USC shooting for the Daily Trojan. I was the chief photographer for them, and USC basketball. I played at the LA Sports Arena, the same place that the LA Clippers played.
Yeah.
And the games overlap between USC women's basketball and the LA Clippers. And so I was shooting with for the Daily Trojan of the women's game, and Andy Bernstein, who's the NBA photographer, was preparing to shoot for the Clipper game. And so we sat down, we started talking for a while, and I started, telling him my interest in what I was doing, and we started talking. We had a mutual friend named Alvin Chung who Andy hired to work for him, and he was doing the shooting, and Andy needed somebody to do darkroom work, and so I started doing darkroom work for Andy. Next thing you know, Andy comes up with the Dodger contract in 1984, and he needed a darkroom person to print all the stuff that Alvin he shot. Well, he had a falling out with Alvin, and I stepped in because I already had all the equipment that I was using to shoot, and I began shooting for him back in 1985, and doing all the darkroom work in 1985 while side work doing for UPI, Pasadena Star News. I mean, I was pouring for everybody.
30 years later, here you are.
30 years later, I'm here.
So in 1982, was Cheryl Miller playing?
I'm not sure what year was her first year. But
you probably had a better game if she was playing. I
have no doubt. I definitely shot her first day on campus before she actually became a student. I have her in her. It's funny, when your parents dress you when you're younger.
Yeah.
And I think she had like there was a down jacket. I mean, it wasn't even that cold. She was standing in front of Heritage Hall, and I got a shot of her and her mom, and I think her mom and dad. I think at that time, and I shot a picture of her like first day on campus. It must be the first day on campus as either being recruited or what, but I remember taking a picture of her posed.
Well, she was probably cold. She was from Riverside.
I'm sure it was like 80.
Yeah, 80. All right, questions.
Yes.
Favorite stadium you get to shoot in today? Today's stadiums. What's your favorite one?
To this day, Pittsburgh's probably one of my favorites. Everything about the place is very... It's easy to work. There are beautiful positions on the field. The security and ushers don't harass you as some stadiums do.
Yeah.
They're very low key. The sight lines are beautiful. You have the city in the background in right field. You have the waterway behind that or underneath it. It's just beautiful. And if you're a fan, it's got to be breathtaking. Right.
What stadium do you wish you could have shot in?
I thought about that one when you asked me that a couple days ago, and the one that comes to mind is Detroit.
Okay.
I guess Tiger Stadium.
Yep, old Tiger Stadium.
And I kept hearing, you can sit on the field. You actually on the dirt. There's no wells, I guess, and you just kind of reminds me of Vero Beach. But I've never got to experience that. I got to experience the new one, but not the old one.
All right. Favorite player you shoot today? What guy do you like shooting today? Doesn't have to be on your team. Someone you find interesting.
Well, the guys who do the most with their bodies, like throw them, diving like crazy, would probably be Puig for me at that,
Right. He did a good one yesterday.
Yeah, he did. I missed it, I'm sure.
He'll do it again.
I'm sure he will do something like that.
All right. The player you wish you could have photographed?
Wish I could have. Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Just to be there maybe that first couple
Well, I mean, all this history you hear about him, all these pictures you see about of him, and the limitations that Barney Stein had with 4x5 speed graphics.
Right.
And, all these guys just doing one frame at a time. Like, just kind of imagine what shooting Jackie Robinson with this stuff today would be like. That'd be a oversaturation at the Art of the Game right here, right next door, where they sell pictures.
Film or digital? Do you miss film, or are you comfortable now in this digital age?
Because we've had to keep up, I'm very comfortable with digital. But I know on a 4 o'clock game, and where were we last week? We were in Washington D.C.
Washington, yeah.
It was beautiful backlight. Clayton was on the mound. You have this rim light going around him, and I'm just thinking Fuji Chrome 100. Just a little hair light going around him would look so beautiful in Fuji Chrome, but instead you put it on digital, you shoot it, and it looks as, I try not to play around with Photoshop that much anyway.
Right.
I hate playing on the computer to begin with. You just miss that sweet out of the camera image that you actually did it yourself. I mean, yeah, you could do it on your Photoshop and futz with it,
right.
But for me, it's if you could pull out a Chrome, that would be like the ultimate.
There's something about putting Chromes on a light table still today.
Oh, that's the only way I could recall anything is by looking at the slide or the negative. If you give me all these hard drives, there's like 20 years of images on hard drives. I have no idea what's on them.
None.
And I really don't care. I really don't even care whether I look back at them or not. But I know there's stuff on there that's kind of important. But when you have the film in your hand, there's no doubt you have it.
Right.
That's the date you have it from.
It's magical, there.
It's right in your hand.
Could you ever imagine when you were shooting Jackie Robinson, if you could, to have been in a wool suit with a speed graphic at home plate?
Well, first off, I can't even imagine being in a wool suit. Speed graphic, not a chance. No, I can't even imagine. That ball just moves too quick, and it's just I'm sure I would have more wounds than worth, but I would definitely not want to do that.
Those guys were warriors back then. There's no way in hell.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Boston or anywhere on the East Coast in that kind of outfit?
Oh my goodness, I can't even imagine.
Not a chance. All right, so what is the moment you wish you could have shot over your lifetime? Something special.
Well,
Baseball.
Believe it or not, because you're here, it was actually an Angel-Dodger game. I was on frame number 36.
Oh, that's a tough number.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And Jon SooHoo Park and Tim Belcher.
Oh.
Tim Belcher's my friend from the '88 team. I know him very well. He was pitching, and I am so upset that I missed that roundhouse kick of Jon SooHoo Park. I mean, that was like one of the biggest regrets I ever had. And I'm just thinking Reed Saxon, because he nailed it from that outside first position of APs.
Right.
He had the most beautiful shot of it, and I'm thinking, ugh. Sorry, I couldn't put that word up there, but that was the one image I'm regretting not having, because I just, the
Right.
two guys I care about, I know them very, well, and it's like, how stupid to mess that image up.
Right.
But I ran out of film.
What's your one photo you've taken that if you had to give a print to somebody, it would be like your favorite photo?
Well,
30 years, you've got a lot.
Well, actually, I'm going to go most current, because I know that each player thinks differently of what images I
Sure.
give to them, and they love each picture that I shoot that is featuring them. But actually, one of my favorites would be the father of that caught the foul ball in Wrigley Field.
Oh, yes.
And with a baby in his left arm. I mean, I would give a print to the father. That'd be more,
Right. Okay, so run me through that. What were you doing?
Well,
Wrigley Field,
the wells are like right next. They're in the seats essentially. You're
Sure.
right next to the fans, and so I had the outside position, and I had just started about there was a second day of actually transmitting from my camera into my iPad, transmitting it out. So I was actually going live per se for our social media. So I was sending stuff out, pretty quickly the day before, just
Right.
getting used to it. So I forgot what inning it was, but I knew the owners were going to be up in the suite, up and down the left field line. So I left my 600 in the locker room in the clubhouse, because I was going to grab that on the way to the suite. So I'm sitting with my 28 to 300, and right next to me there were two people that were sitting, and they got up to go get a beer, I guess. And then the foul ball hit, and Adrian's coming over, and I have my 28-300. I'm focusing on him, and next thing you know, the ball ends up in that guy's hand.
He just pops into the frame.
And it pops in the frame, and the baby is in his left arm with a bottle in his mouth, and it was just I sent that image out, and it was kind of magical, because the fans just went to go get a beer. Those two people just left, so that could have been the end of that picture right there. And I felt bad for the girl who was next to me shooting, because her editor was all over her about not having a short lens to be able to capture that.
Right.
And so I felt bad that she didn't get it. But it just happened to be the right timing for me to get that image, and so it worked out. And it got a lot of play that night, and it was pretty fun.
Does that go back to digital, being able to have a 28 to 300 where 20 years ago you probably wouldn't have had that kind of lens on you?
I would have. It's like a football game where you had to 600, and you had a 180 in front of you, and then you had a little 50 on you.
Right.
I would never have time to get from the 600 to the 50, or even from the 180 to the 50 quick enough.
Right.
So yeah, that is a blessing to have the zooms that are so, they're pretty clean. I mean, there's no doubt, and plus you have autofocus compared to back in the day when
Sure.
film was, we were manually focused in this, and I'm sure I would have been out of focus.
How close were they to you?
6 feet.
Yeah, see, that's a hell of a rack.
Yeah.
You had that thing zoomed out and try to get it back in.
No doubt. And it was, I was actually, initially when the ball was hit, I was kind of concerned the ball was going to hit me, but as soon as I realized it's not even close, I couldn't comfortably aim at Adrian before.
Jesus.
So it all worked out.
All right, fun questions. If you could play baseball, what position would you play?
Outfield.
Which one? You got 3.
I would say probably center, because the ball moves too much going left or right field or left field. I've gone to play shag balls before, and I've got hit many times misjudging because of the curve of the arc of the swing. I mean,
Right.
so once the ball comes off the bat, it's coming off differently for lefties and righties, and
Sure.
when it goes to center field, it's just a straight shot. You just know you got to back up.
So you're trying to save the moneymaker?
I just didn't want to look stupid. That's it.
All right, if you could be commissioner for a day, what one rule would you change? 30 years of photography, you've got to have at least one good one.
If I could be commissioner for the day, let's see. More meal money for the staff.
More meal money for the staff.
Why not? I mean,
Okay. No, hey, that's just as good. Scott Clark said a couple probably got me thrown out of New York, so I'll never be able to visit the state again. All right, if you have one good photo tip for shooting baseball for young kids coming up, what would it be?
Patience, and I got more than one tip.
All right,
You don't have to go where everybody else is going to be. If you see the whole well's filled up on the first base side, be different. Go to the third base side. Just try to be different. Try to get what you need to get, but if you could move around a little bit more and get away from everybody else, then your image can be a little bit more special.
Right. No, that's huge.
Yeah.
Photographers are sheep. They love to cling together.
Pretty much, and it's funny because you see the big boys, the AP Getty sitting next to it all game long. I mean, it's like,
Yeah. What are you
all
doing?
right, well, I know each photographer has their own thing and they each shoot their own different way, but they're just keeping up with each other.
Right.
So
now I heard this rumor, and tell me if this is true, that you told Randy Johnson he would never make it as a photographer and probably stick to baseball.
actually, I told him you should stick to photography and get rid of baseball. How stupid I am. I didn't even realize he was actually a baseball. I mean, I knew he played on the baseball team.
Oh, you probably thought he played volleyball or something. Or
you know what? When I was at SC as a chief photographer, the things that are important to me because I grew up with it was USC basketball, USC football, and USC track. Not in that order. Obviously, football was first. So when it was baseball, it was spring sport. I was more concentrating on getting ready for spring football or the track meet on Saturday.
Right.
I didn't think about shooting baseball or having. I may have signed it. I don't even remember. But knowing that Mark McGuire is one of my friends here and Randy Johnson is one of my friends, since Daily Trojan, I never shot one game.
That's so funny.
Who knew?
But by the early '80s, they weren't a great baseball power anymore.
Who? I'm sure I missed that wave.
Because they were in the '60s and '70s.
That was with Rod Dato as the manager, and I the coach. And they were there. He was there when they were playing too. But I just never made that a priority to get there.
Right.
Plus I didn't have the right kind of long enough gear to shoot.
Totally,
it's just a different kind of game, college baseball, than it is to shoot with the big glass and photo wells.
Right.
Yeah. So that was my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. But,
John, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Your stadium is beautiful as always.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I'll try to keep it that way for the next 30 years.
30 more years?
If I go 20, I'll be happy.
20?
If I get to 50, then I can die.
All right.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks, John.
Thank you.